Seen from Black's perspective, again, I would like to take a look at Sicilian Wing Gambit. Starts like a normal Sicilian with e4, c5, and instead of the normal knight f3, like this, or even c3, white plays the, well, I don't think it's a bad move. I don't, you definitely don't see it on high level chess, but only because you don't see it on high level chess doesn't mean that it's a bad move. It is a rare move that you will normally see in blitz games, and since I am mainly a blitz player myself, I have seen this a lot lately. So for that reason, I decided to make a clip about this. I have mentioned this opening before, but I don't think I've specifically made a clip about it or even talked about it too much. I might have mentioned it sometime, but that's about it. So anyway, after b4, Black have several options. The main move is c takes b4, which probably makes most sense because white is giving up a pawn on move 2. The other one is the move b6. The point with well, let's start with the main move, c takes b4. Well, obviously the point with c takes b4 is that white is simply giving up a pawn, and you can just take it. And if white can't prove that his idea, so to speak, then he will just be down a pawn for nothing. And so that's the clear downside. On the other hand, the point with the move b4, obviously here after c5 and b4, is that when Black takes, white will have a much stronger center with potential with d4, and let's say, for example, let's just take a look at the main moves here. For example, after a3, and Black plays d5. It turns out that the main move here is e takes d5, but the move that I have seen the most over the board is e5. And the point with e5 is obviously, for example, if Black plays his main move knight c6, white will simply play d4. And now we can immediately start to see how it is rather difficult for Black to develop his pieces, especially this bishop on f8, because obviously after, let's say, something like bishop f5, a takes b4, knight takes b4, bishop b5, bishop d7, or even knight to a3, this knight is looking at the move knight b5 and potentially coming over here. Maybe at some point, it depends. So for example, e6, e3, knight c6, and already we can see that either at some point Black has to get rid of this bishop somehow. He can play, I don't know, maybe g6, bishop g7, bishop e7, but the problem with bishop e7, for instance, maybe not particularly in this situation, is that after bishop e7 this knight doesn't really have any good squares, and knight to h6 doesn't look too appealing, because white can simply take the knight and double the pawns on the h5. So, b4 does have its points, and if you go back, so if you continue this c takes b4, a3, and if d5, and again e5, knight c6, d4. Even last night I actually played the move bishop f5, the one we looked at, but the game didn't actually continue that way. I think I'm not exactly sure how my opponent replied. It might have been a takes b4, and then I took and we saw the move c3, etc. And when I had to go back, and then maybe something like queen a4 and bishop to b5 and so on and so forth. So it can become very difficult. But the move that I would actually recommend in this situation is queen b6, and that's actually an interesting move, because after queen b6, this pawn on d4 is immediately attacked, and the only way for, well, not actually the only way, obviously there is the possibility to play knight f3, but the main move here turns out to be bishop e3, which is actually sort of good news for Black, because now this bishop doesn't have any it doesn't come out on this diagonal over here, a3 to f8. And here, black can simply develop peacefully with bishop f5, and if bishop d3, just takes and takes, and now e6. And black has definitely a better game here, because now this bishop on c8 has come out of the, it's been developed and traded off. And it's not like as it is in the French defense when the bishop on c8 doesn't have anywhere to go. And okay, here for instance, if knight to e2, then just knight g to e7, castles, knight f5, and if a takes b, just bishop takes c3, bishop e7, and this is a much better version of this variation, simply because of the move queen b6. And here, for instance, the game can continue knight d2, just castles, and if knight f4, rook f d8, g4, and just takes. And probably here, black will take either with the pawn or the queen, probably the queen. And then black has simply two passed pawns, at least this passed pawn. Obviously this pawn, unless it's white loses it for some reason, then black could potentially have two passed pawns. So anyway, to go back to after d5, e5, knight c6, d4, and here queen d6. That's a much better move. That's actually a move that I would stop playing myself. So, okay. What else? I suppose one has to look at the move e takes d5 as well. E takes d5 reminds a little bit of the Scandinavian defense, but obviously it's not quite the same, because this pawn over here stops the move knight c3, which is a normal move in the Scandinavian. So if the queen takes, there is no knight to c3, so knight f3, e5, bishop b2, knight c6, c4, and it's probably not a very good move to take the c pawn en passant, because then if b takes c, then this knight will actually come out. So queen e6, or queen e4, and bishop d3, knight f6, castles, bishop d6, rook e1, and castles. I suppose this is a better version of the game also. Maybe, I don't know, I was looking at this move. Obviously, black can simply go back to c7 over here. Okay, a takes b4, knight takes, bishop f1, e4. This pawn, it's kind of difficult to say if this pawn is strong, because okay, white can't actually take the knight because of the queen takes. This rook over here is hanging anyway. So, for example, d3, queen d7, d takes c4, bishop c5, bishop takes f6, queen takes. This is actually the end of the line, and I can't actually say that I like this too much for black. So maybe e takes d5 is something you have to spend some time looking at. There's also knight f6, a takes b, knight takes d5, knight f3, knight takes b4, d4, and again white has the center here. Black doesn't even have e6 in here, so bishop f5, knight to a3, e6. Okay, what else? And then there is also the move b6. And this is interesting. Obviously, the point with b6 is obvious. When white takes, his main move is b takes e5. And after b takes e5, the game looks just like it would have been the normal Sicilian. Obviously here, neither black or white has a b pawn. So after knight c3, for instance, knight c6, rook b1. And here is a move that normally I never play the move g6 in order to develop my bishop over here. It's not my style, so I don't think I would play b6 myself. And here g3, bishop g7, bishop g2, bishop a6. Okay, just a few moves. So b6 is actually a valid option, I think. So those are basically the main moves that black has. C takes b4 or b6. And I won't mention too much about the other moves. For instance, e5 or even d5 at this point. So I think you have to simply decide. My recommendation at least would be after c takes b4, a3, and after d5, if e5. I think most players will play e5 here, even though the main move is e takes d5, because that's at least my experience. And if so, then just out with the bishop, the knight, and d4, and here queen b6. I think that's the best move. And at the end of the day, white will simply be down a pawn for nothing. So that's basically, white does have some edge in the beginning, but you know, if he can't prove that, he will simply be down a pawn. And obviously, you don't want to be down a pawn as white in the opening. Okay, I suppose that's about it. Of course, there's a lot more to say about this opening, but I think it deserves more attention than it actually has. The Wing Gambit is actually something that can throw you off, at least in a blitz game. If you have more time to think, then maybe white will have a hard time to prove his advantage in the center, because that's what he wants. He simply wants to get a strong center here, and black doesn't really have anything. So for example, after d4, this pawn is over here doing actually nothing. And well, in this position I suppose d5 would be the best move, and e5, and again we have a similar situation as in the other examples. And here again, either bishop f5 or again queen b6. So I think if you like to try this as white, that's perfectly fine. I think it's you might have tried it before, but you know, you have to know these things as black, because a lot of players in this game try. I have seen this a lot, like I said. They try to throw the black player off immediately out of book, so to speak, and I don't think there is too much information about the move d4. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this quick clip and look at an opening that I've been facing, or moved rather, a lot lately. See you soon.